Hello, everybody. I want to welcome everyone to episode number 5. And as you see, we are calling this episode Evolution because there are so many things that have changed in the process, and I'm excited to really get into it. I'm going to bring on the stage with us our special client guest, Miss Carolyn Murphy. I'm adding you in.
Good evening.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good, worn out.
Well, we're excited because we have made some huge decisions, which we are going to share with you now. Gosh, Carolyn, what can we really say except you just want to get into it and show it to them? All right. We're going to get into it, show to you exactly what is happening. So, like I said, we're calling this episode Evolution. And we do ask that as we go through everything, please do not take screenshots or photograph questions or any of the written word. Everything is copyrighted. So we needed to make a change happen because where Carolyn's heart was going and where she was at was in two different places. And so I said, this is what she wanted. This is what we were supposed to be working on as far as building up in her business. But this is where we ended up. And this is what spoke to her heart. And now we're going to get into what exactly happened and how we're pulling this all together. I mean, this is a major change because yes, we've already have a draft of the website. We have a draft of her digital brochure, but we will tell you how it all will work together. So we started in one place and now we are here at Firm Foundations Community Outreach LLC, Empathy, Education, and Empowerment. So Carolyn, let's discuss how did we get here?
I think we got here because I ended up telling you about other businesses. I was gonna get ready to start working on another business, which is the Well Done Virtual Assistant. And then I told you about the other two businesses that were hanging in the balance. And once I gave you that information, you were like, you can have all of it. And of course, I was like, there is no way. Even though they're focusing on mental health, you still said you could do it. And here we are. You can go into details because I'm still.
Well, my advice is this so that she's not pulled into 50 million directions because I truly understand how that feels. My advice all along for her has been bring everything under one roof. And then it was just a question of how do we do that? So we started with the mental health aspect of her wanting to reach the community and specifically the Black church. And as she said, she started telling me about all these other businesses that she wanted to do as well. And I said, you're going to be pulled in so many directions. And really, her focus needs to be centered and so that she can build. And so the process it's been a few weeks. It's kind of been in the background. How do we bring everything together and how is it going to affect everything that we do as a result? But ultimately, after last week when we were discussing what her title would actually be, this kept just sitting in the forefront, and it's like we have to address this issue. There were some other things that we were supposed to be doing in our coaching sessions, but I told her there's no way we can move forward until we have this business aspect settled. And so we looked into some things on her behalf to find out what we could do. And when we found out that it was a very viable possibility to make some major changes, we in fact said, okay, this is what we can do. And ultimately, we left the decision up to her. And then we went into discussion about what it is that she would call the business. And that was a whole session within itself, just trying to think about what would we call it and how is everything going to fit under one roof. So I'm going to show you all again. Her new business is going to be called Firm Foundations Community Outreach LLC. And one of the things that she wanted to relay was to make sure that people knew that she had compassion for them. She wanted to keep the educational component as well as the empowerment component that would encompass how she was going to help people on the back end once they made it through the mental health challenge or whatever life challenge that they were facing. So a couple of things that we had to do is think about what are the next steps. One, we need to change the business name, and was that possible without it costing a lot of money? We would need to change the website name to the new business name. We needed to revamp her goals toward the business name, because this shift, it was going to affect everything that she was doing. And so some of the action steps we took was we researched how to change the business name, and we found out she would have to file articles of amendment, and it was not going to be extremely expensive to do that. Then we had already researched how to change the website name with the idea of the old business name that she had, replacing the current website name, but we can still make that change, and that's not terribly expensive. And then we had to start reimagining how we would execute the business and all that was associated with it. So what will the new business affect? Her title, her business funding options, how we present her website, the presentation of her book, the presentation of her signature speech as well as her color scheme, because there were some changes. So we will get a poll from you all tonight. But the first thing is, what is the title going to be? Is it going to be Mindset and Business Coach, Mind Shift and Business Coach? Also funding options, because there is this element of nonprofit now that we can add into this. She will have the opportunity to receive government funding toward her business, and that changed the dynamics of her having to earn so much money as a result. With the website presentation, we're just going to start from top to bottom, but within the next couple of slides that I'll show you, you will see where we are going with that. Also with the presentation of her book, because we are looking at more so phases versus just the overall story, and I'll explain more about the phases. We wanted to make sure her book reflected what those phases look like. It would be the same for her signature speech. And also her color scheme changed slightly. So before, she had a blue, an orange, and a red. But what I told her, I said, if we're changing the color scheme, you want to get something that's going to give you more diversity. We either need to choose 2 bolds and 1 neutral, or we need to choose 2 neutrals and 1 bold. And ultimately, she went with 2 bolds and 1 neutral. So we are keeping the blue and the orange, but we're adding in the neutral of white, and we are releasing the red. And there's special meaning behind it. And before we take our vote, Carolyn, will you talk to the people concerning why we're keeping the blue and orange and what those colors specifically mean?
Well, blue, it had a lot in there, everything from stability to calmness, loyalty. And the orange was passion, I think, because we looked it up.
Warmth. It was a friendly tone. It was
Hmm.
inviting for people. And to speak
Hmm.
to the blue, if you all have noticed, if you think about banks and any other type of major corporation, the primary color you're going to see is blue. And psychologically, blue says stability. And that's why a lot of people choose to use blue within their color schemes. And I said, what we want to do is show people that you know what you're doing, but also express that compassion, which is why we ultimately end up choosing the orange as well. And of course, we need the neutral tone to balance everything out, because I said, when you're thinking about t-shirts, branding overall, you need to give yourself some options. And if you have too many colors in there, it can kind of eliminate some of the options that you would have, or it could just pull people's attention into different directions. But what we want to show is stability and compassion, which is primarily what she is trying to extend to people as she works with them. Carolyn, you went to pick up something. Is that, you want to read what you picked up?
Sure. The orange symbolizes warmth, enthusiasm, and positive energy, reflecting the transformative nature of the coaching sessions. The deep blue represents trust, calmness, and stability, which aligns with the safe and supportive environment the brand wants to create.
And so when you're looking at your color scheme, your branding scheme, think about what those colors are conveying. Is that what you want to say to people? We actually went through a color change ourselves with our company, and we ultimately decided on a very dark blue as one of our colors. So as you're thinking about the message you want to convey, think about what are those colors saying, because those colors have a psychological effect on people. We may not think about what we're wearing necessarily. We may just say, oh, this looks good. But what psychological effect is it having on people when you walk into that room? What are the thoughts that people are going to have as a result of the color that you have on? Maybe not so much what you have on, but the color that you have on. It really makes a difference. So one of the things I want you all to help us with is, we could not make a decision about what her title would be. And so one of the things I would love for people to do is help us make this decision: mindset and business coach, or mind shift and business coach. And we're saying mindset is, of course, she plans to change the mind, help people move forward in their life, but also she plans on people having a mind shift. And the mind shift is, it seems to be a more active verb. But what I want you all to do as an audience is drop A in the comments if you like mindset and business coach, and B in the comments if you like mind shift and business coach. And as you drop those comments, I want to give this pro tip. Even though we're making major changes concerning her business name and somewhat of the direction that we're going in, we're still going to use everything that she already has. So the pro tip is reuse, reinvent, and create cohesiveness with what you have. Reuse, reinvent, and create cohesiveness with what you have. So let me go to our chat. Let's see what we voted for. A for mindset, B for mind shift. So right now I see we have one vote for mind shift and business coach. We have 2 for mind shift and business coach. Anybody else, A or B? B, mind shift. Okay, anybody else want to throw in their vote? Anybody want to tell us why they've chosen mind shift coach versus mindset? If you do, just raise your hand and let me highlight you. So right now the majority is with mind shift coach versus mindset. Anybody would like to tell us why they've chosen mind shift over mindset? Come on, come on, come on. I know somebody, there's a reason why you chose mind shift over mindset, even if it's simple as it tells us what's going to happen. Life coach Bridget, I am looking at you. I would like to highlight you.
You're looking at me, but you didn't see me vote anything either. Okay.
Ah, okay. What are your thoughts? Why haven't you
Man,
voted?
I didn't vote because although both are good, but um, I'm just not a fan of neither one of those titles per se. Now, and that's just me. Now, Mind Shift is, if I had to choose, then it would have been Mind Shift because um, what she would be supporting individuals with, couples, groups, or whomever she chooses to work with, would be ultimately a shift in their thought process. So that right there, I can see why he would say mind shift. Mind shift, that sounds like Carolyn to me. I think I'm having a problem with the and business, that the latter. Okay. Um, it just doesn't jump out like that to me. And I just think that she says so much more than than that. So it's just like a mind shift, and it goes from here to here to me. All right. But I could just be extra. All right. So don't hold me. Okay.
No, but what you're
Don't do
saying, I
me.
mean, it is important to know these things, but I appreciate you explaining. That is definitely something to think about.
Mind shift, I can see where you're going with that. I just have a problem with the and business. I don't know if we can just do something else to kind of make it flow. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? I see Miss Hyacinth.
I also didn't put anything because I'm trying to figure out in my mind, get in my mind, what's the difference between mindset and mind shift. So I had to look. Mindset, we could understand. You set your mind on whatever. And mind shift, actually, if I can read what I have here,
Sure.
they talk about it. I would say it is what they call a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is defined as an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and different way. So my thing I'm thinking, is this what you're intending to do? Like to get the people's mind out of the old way of thinking and just get them into a new way of thinking? I mean, we could be doing something one way all the time, and then you introduce, you might be looking at this way. What about if we look at it this way? And is this what she intends to be doing? Constantly shifting your mind, making you see things a different way, from a different angle. Or you have a mindset, your mind set in its ways. I mean, if that's what mindset means, I'm going to set your mind, change your mindset.
No, you're good. You're good. And I think we're going to answer your questions with the next presentation slide. But before we do that, I want to go back to the chat because someone put a comment in. It says, this is Lucia. She says, I'm terrible. She said, I chose B because our current culture seems stuck in our own opinions that isn't allowing growth for a positive change. The mind shift would allow us to see others' views, opinions to create a better community. I love that. I absolutely love that. So what I am going to do is I will share my screen because you will get to see a portion of how we are redeveloping the business. One of the questions was, how can we bring everything together under this one name and still provide all the services that Carolyn wanted to provide? And she wanted to do this community outreach where she was helping single parents or people who were homeless, people who had gone through trauma and they needed to have a place to stay, but also build this environment with community services and showing people that there was a need for them with this community garden. And then she also had this idea about this mobile eye drop business where she would help the elderly receive the eye drops that they need because she has some background in ophthalmology and helping people in that way. Of course, she wanted to do the coaching aspect of things, be able to provide free classes, paid classes, the listening sessions, and also provide referrals to people who need to go on to see counselors and psychologists. And then she wanted to do this part where she wanted to provide business services for individuals who were starting in the mental health field. So it took some time and really thought about how could she put all of this together and still do the things that she needed to do. It needed to be cohesive because ultimately what it sounded like 5, 6, maybe even 7 different businesses or community groups. And when we brought it together, the thought that came to my mind was we needed to have phases. And so what you're seeing is phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We also redid one of her pillars. So you'll see her pillars are empathy, education, and empowerment. And then we wanted to try to incorporate the names of the businesses that she already had, which was Getting in Touch and Well Done. So this is what became the ultimate design. As people are struggling with their trauma, they do need someone to talk to. And ultimately, her goal is to have a community center where people can come in and they can say, this is what my needs are. And so there's a question mark by the intake process. But when people first come into her business or make contact with her, because we talked about the reality of a center being on down the road, but the fact that she can already start helping people now. There needs to be a needs and goals assessment. We need to look at a suggested pathway for them, determine what type of family services they would need, medical services, and community assignment. Like one of the things she mentioned is a lot of people can't receive their benefits because they don't have mailboxes. And you have to have an address, and she wants to be able to provide mailboxes for people who were struggling to have a stable place to stay, also in creating some type of shelter. So that would be the intake portion of, and so that's phase one. What do they need? After they come in and it is decided what they need, they will move to phase two. And they have to be prepared to receive phase two, because one of the things we talked about is sometimes you can't speak to people's mental health or what their, I would say their non-physical needs are until you actually meet their physical needs. So phase one is really about meeting their physical needs. And then phase two is starting to get them the help that they need. And those are the free classes, the paid classes, the listening sessions, the coaching, and then the professional assistance where she will make referrals. The last aspect is once they get through those classes and they have had that mind shift under that educational prong, then the next step is going to be the empowerment prong, which is job assistance, business startup help, virtual assistance, as well as business services, because her goal was to help people who were mental health providers have the virtual assistance that they need by providing like the billing, the bookkeeping, the email marketing. But I was telling her, I said, you may need to broaden your thought process on that, because there are more people, other people who need those same types of services. But again, we have to bring it all under one roof. So they will come in, we will see what they need, what their goals, what type of services they need. Once that is addressed, then we'll go to their mindset shift that may need to change, because when you're going through trauma, you definitely are going to have some sort of mind shift or mindset change. And then from there, how can we help you get you on your feet? Once we help you and address those mental health needs or life crisis needs, how can we help you continue to move forward so that you are stable? And that is where the job assistance, the business startup, and then providing the services needed to help them with their business comes into play. So that is phase one, phase two, and phase three. And I said, you don't have to look at it as separate concepts, but as a progression. And I explained to her that some people may only need phase one. Some people may start phase one with the intent of going to phase two, but they may not get there. But some people may need phase two, but each phase is going to continue to help them shift and move forward. Carolyn, what are your comments on everything? Because we went through this, we were trying to work it all out, and ultimately, this is what the conclusion was.
I do favor the mind shift more so, but I'm looking in the comments and my son said maybe flip it, business and mind shift coach. Okay, so looks like Coach Bridget is agreeing with that.
I would like to get people's thoughts as to how we brought it together, because that was the strike. Carolyn kept saying, how are we going to bring it together? I would love to receive some feedback on that. Any volunteers? Coach Hyacinth, you just look like you want to say something.
Yeah, as far as how you're going to name it, I can't get into that. I like all the names and the formations, but the progress when I phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, that I love. I can see people, as just as you say, they can go into phase 1 and then probably might never get to phase 2, but phase 1 has got so much in it that they'll actually get a full program just in there alone, and they can choose whether they want to advance into phase 2. And if they do phase 2 and get to phase 2, I mean, it's a natural process. You know, you could stop at each one of the processes, or you could go straight to the end. That I like. How you're going to phrase it and name it, I leave that to you, specialists. But I did like what her son says. I like that. But I'm just thinking about Jackie. If what you have there as the phases, if the name matches the phases, like how he turns it around, does it match it in your mind? Is it you know, will it tell what it's all about? Just from hearing the name, will it disclose what this whole process is about? Or you know what I mean? So
Thank you. And we do have some comments in the chat, and I do want to read those. Lucia says, oh yeah, I like that business and mind shift. Carolyn will make it her business to help shift minds. And Eric said, great job zooming out her different interests and finding a way to weave them together with a common goal of 360 health. Carolyn, what are your thoughts?
I thank God for the input. I do like the business and mind shift coach. If I had to choose, but it doesn't matter to me because I'm doing both, and both of them speaks to what I desire to do. But like I said, I favor mind shift coach and business. But I do like the turn business and mind shift coach.
And we just got another comment said your title matters. and it does matter.
Yeah.
It does matter. I'm known as, I have many titles, but one of my titles is the Get Heard Coach, because I help people get heard. This is just part of the process. I do different ways of helping people get heard, but ultimately I help people get heard. And I'm helping Carolyn get heard by helping her build out her business and helping her bring together her ideas so that it can make the positive change that she wants in the community, and not only in the community, but globally. So that is something that we will continue to discuss, and we will provide that big reveal in week 7. I think it is interesting. Sometimes we, like I said, we have all those different interests, and the question becomes, how do we do it, and how do we make it all work so that it's not becoming overwhelming? Because so many small business owners, they usually have multiple businesses, but if there is a way to bring it all under one roof where you are helping people in a totality of ways, I definitely and strongly suggest that. And I'm excited to see how we progress forward with Carolyn as she continues to build this out. I told her we would definitely provide her with continuing support as she moves forward, because her success is our success. And we want to make sure that she is successfully taking care of all of those people that she wants to touch their lives. And so we will continue to support her beyond this web episodes. One of the things we had to think about because of the change is her business is now reflecting her personal journey. And that was part of our overall discussions. Is I asked her, what is it that you needed as a person? Because often what we need is what we need to give to other people. And so she started to tell me the things that she needed support-wise when she was growing up. And then we started talking about her natural progression, how she sought out help from people, how she utilizing coaches, counseling. and which is reflective of phase 2. And now she's in her own phase 3 of building out this business fully. And so one of the things that we had to discuss is now your book, not only her book, but also her signature talk, all of that need to mirror the phases that we were speaking of with the business. And so we are making some changes and some shifts with that so that people can see the natural progression that she made through her books as well. And also I said, when she gives people her book, shares her story with people, people can see how it's all connected. And stories are so powerful when it comes to talking about your business. If you want to connect with someone, tell them what your story is. That is the best way to do it versus just telling people what you offer. But if you tell people, I was a single mom and I was struggling, I had gone through abuse, but I knew I wanted something better, people are more likely to hear that instead of hearing, I just want to provide for the community. We have medical services. We have this, you going down the list about what you have, but give them the story, connect them to your story, and you will connect them to your business. So one of the things that we were supposed to be doing in this episode is talking about the parts of the book. And I do want to shift into that right now because there is one more announcement that we need to make. And just the parts of a book. A lot of times when people start the book writing process, they don't even understand what they need in the book. So this really talks about what you will find in the front matter. The front matter precedes the main text, is has your half title, your frontispiece, your title page, copyright page, dedication, acknowledgement page, table of contents, foreword, and preface. And then your body matter is your main chapters and the content of your book and can include a prologue. And then your end matter wraps up the text, is your epilogue, your afterword, your glossary, bibliography, index, and author biography. And what we found is a lot of people don't even know what those even mean. They may see it in the book, but what does it mean? And this is a series of definitions just explaining what they are. So what is a half title? A half title page contains only the title of the book, omitting the author and publisher as they appear on the full title page. This is not as popular anymore, but you can still have this aspect as a part of your book. The frontispiece is usually an illustration. If you look at like books, especially books from the 1800s, I would say, you'll notice that they have some type of art in the front part of their book, but it's not as popular today. You can do it, but it's not as popular. Next piece is, what is a title page? A title page is the page of the book bearing the title, the name of the author, publisher, and the place, and sometimes the date of publication. So she will definitely have a title page because that is standard no matter what type of book you have. Also, we will become her publishers, get her publishing house. And so you will see all of that inside of her book as part of the front matter. And then you have your copyright page, because you definitely want to tell people whether or not they have a right to utilize the pieces of your book. You can give them partial permission. You can retain all of your rights as well. And so she will definitely have that in her book. One of the other pieces is you often find in a book is a dedication page. Who are you dedicating the book to? And that's one of the questions I had for Carolyn this week. And I asked her, I said, Carolyn, will you tell people who you have decided to dedicate your book to?
My book dedication: my grandmother, Mrs. Minnie Murphy, my mom, Mrs. Helena Gamble, my sisters, Cynthia Gamble and Mrs. Minnie Blue, and my sons, Darius Braswell and Dwayne Hazel Jr.
So that is who she has decided to dedicate her book to. So you will see that as a part of her book. All right, the next piece that you see in the book, and this is going in order. So if you decide to put all these pieces in your book, you can. It's a lot, but it is the acknowledgement. An acknowledgement page is usually for people who provide emotional, moral, financial, or academic support. At this time, Carolyn will not have that in her book. I see it more so for people who are providing financial or academic support, people who've done research on a person's behalf to help them complete the book. Of course, she will have a table of contents, and we shared that a couple of weeks ago with the outline. That's how we started working through her book, is creating the table of contents, knowing exactly what we wanted to put in there. And so she will definitely have that. Forward, oftentimes we see this, as it says, people who are experts in the field, and they add that extra bit of credibility to your book. A preface, she will definitely have that. And preface tells you, in my opinion, it says it builds your credibility, and it provides your readers an opportunity to get to know you. But in simple terms, I say it is your why. Why are you writing this book? And it's different from your introduction, and it doesn't necessarily go into the introduction. Introduces the content of the book, but this introduces you and your mindset as to why you wanted the people to have this book. And she will have one of those. Prologue, this is something you often see in novels. It gives you important details, background on characters, and it helps you stay connected to the main story. Epilogue, it wraps up the loose ends. And I told her, I said, even though you won't have an epilogue to your book, because we often see that with novels, I said your epilogue is your business. So if people want to see how everything ended for you, they will come visit you at your business. Afterward, is designed to share information that is supplementary to the main content. Glossary. So if you use a lot of what we call big words in your book, and it's not something that's commonly known to people, it's important to have a glossary. Bibliography, what are your resources? You want to make sure that you're citing and giving credit where credit is due. And index, it's just, if it's a really long book, I see this more so in academic books. If you have a lot of different topics that you're touching on, the index allows you to list those topics and then put specific page numbers so that people can go back and refer to that. She will have an author bio, and it establishes credibility. It tells people why they should pick up this book by you. It speaks to your relevant experiences and the key themes in your work. Before we end tonight, I would just love to get a few more comments about how this episode affected you, what you saw in this episode, what did you see that could help you, but also just to the progress in Carolyn's journey. And I said at the beginning in our introduction, we evolve in the process. And sometimes what we think we want, what we think where we should be, that changes. And it's okay to go with those changes as long as we're moving toward that greater. And like I said, she has chosen to go for that greater. So any final thoughts, comments? Coach Bridget, you look like you want to say something.
First, I want to say, Coach Carolyn, I am truly proud of you. And I am just I feel blessed to be a part of this journey. As I'm sitting here, I did have something to say, and I'll just cut straight to the chase. I think I'm having a problem with the title. That word business is just, it's not sitting right with me. Again, me. But mind shift coaching or mind shift coach, I'm like, that sounds Carolyn. When you add the business to it, it just sounds so, now we're going corporate. Okay, it doesn't seem, a person like myself who is on her healing journey, although I am a life coach, been one for over 20 plus years. If I heard business, I don't know if I'd be so quick to want to come. But if I heard mind shift coaching, mind shift, okay, it would do something for me. So if I could just add this tad bit, Someone made a comment about your name matters, or it matters, and it does. And it has to resonate with you, Carolyn. We could sit here and throw all the suggestions that we want, but it really must resonate with you. You must feel it. All right. Because if you don't feel it, we're definitely not going to. All right. So that's it.
Based upon what Jackie was saying, when I look at the three phases, I couldn't get that name, whether it's mind shift, mindset, business. But when you speak about the progression of the business, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, the business part of it does not come until phase 3. So as such, I would like the name, if I could suggest the name, or this is my 2 cents, you don't have to use it, mind shift and business. I like it that way, because before you can get to anything, in phase 1 is where you go and shift in the mind. We have to pattern it with what happened to Coach Caroline up to this phase, right? And that's what Jackie said. Up to this phase, she had to go through a tremendous mind shift before she could even think that she could even be at this step, more or less, to be the business end. So if we follow the natural progression of all of this, mind shift and business would be, to me, the name. It matches everything. Everything is aligned. The way the phases are set up, they're all aligned. Mind shift, you got to do that in phase 1 to decide if you're going to progress to phase 2 to get into the business end on phase 3. Because that's where the business end comes. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
We want your 2 cents. It's important that we receive this feedback because it helps us make decisions. Of course, we are very prayerful about everything, but it does help us make decisions because people's perception is what's reality. Even if that's not true, it's the perception. And we want her to be perceived in the right way. I'm going back to the chat and just to make sure we have not missed anything. Someone's see, it makes it easier for you to qualify for grants, both from companies and government. And that was the goal. If you all remember, Carolyn has already had decided what she wanted her coaching pricing to be. And I said, we can still integrate that. But what if you can receive funding to have classes? And that's what I was kind of thinking about. I said, there are so many options out there that I said, if you go into this, you would never have to worry about the money. And her heart is not on making money. Her heart is on helping people. So I told her, let's focus on the helping people and the money will come.
I'm thanking God for the input, the feedback, because it gives us something to pull from. And I thank God for everyone joining me because you guys are very important to me, and it matters what you think because I just I see this as a village. Your input matters to me, and my soul just wants to help people, but I didn't want it to be about me. That's why it's so important that I have, my family and friends here. So, and I like the fact that we did reveal some because I didn't want people to just show up in 6 and 7 and it's like, well, what happened? what happened? What did what so I'm glad we did the revealing, even though there's still a lot more to come, but at least they know the shift and where we're going.
It is about her journey, but it's all the little things in between that people never think about. Even just sharing a bit about the book. How many people knew there was that many parts to a book? Most people don't know that, and they don't know which order to put it in. You have a lot of people who are self-publishing and they don't understand, and they're wondering why is my book not being accepted among the larger publishers? Why are people rejecting it? And there's so many little pieces in there, and it's important to know the details and enact the details. So I'm just excited for Carolyn's journey. She tells me I'm more excited than she is, but I love to see the visions come to life, come to pass. And I just know she's going to do a wonderful job with this. There are some other things coming down the road. We've been talking about her classes. I will throw a hint out there, a summit. So there's other things that are coming, and I'm just super excited for her, because she's not only telling her story, but she is changing lives with what she's doing. And this is all a part of her story ultimately. Thank you again for being a part of tonight. I'm excited to see what you all think on next Tuesday. You will receive an invitation. We will see ultimately what the reveal will be. So I will see you all on Tuesday. You do not have to buy a ticket. You will receive an email with a link saying where you can go to review the book, and review the book, write out your thoughts. You'll receive some overall instructions about some things to look for, and then we will get into it on next Tuesday. Again, thank you so much, and God bless. You all have a wonderful rest of your night. It's time for you to get heard.